He left his phone in a restaurant after dinner, turned back within minutes, but it was already gone. When he got home, the phone was sitting inside his house, charged, ringing like it never left. Then strange messages began appearing, knowing secrets no one else should know. By morning, his family started acting different, and then he got a message: "You brought me home." On October 14th, 2019, 41-year-old Daniel Mercer left a quiet restaurant outside Portland after celebrating a promotion with coworkers. Security cameras showed him laughing as he stepped into the cold rain and drove away in his black SUV. 10 minutes later, Daniel suddenly realized his phone was missing. He returned to the restaurant, but the place was already locked. Employees had gone home. Frustrated and exhausted, Daniel drove back to a suburban neighborhood in Lake Oswego, believing he'd retrieve the phone the next morning. But according to his wife, Emily, the phone was already inside the house. Not only that, it had been ringing in the kitchen for nearly 20 minutes. Daniel insisted he had left it at the restaurant. Emily thought he was joking. His 2 children laughed about it during dinner. Then the phone lit up. A text message appeared on the screen. A message sent from Daniel's own number. A message no one at the table would ever forget. "I made it home before you." And after that night, the Mercer family claimed the phone began changing. Then Daniel changed too. If you think this story ends with a missing phone, you're wrong. The last normal evening of Daniel Mercer's life began at Blackwater Grill on a rainy Monday night. Coworkers later told investigators Daniel seemed happier than usual. After 15 years working cybersecurity for a private tech contractor in Portland, he had finally been promoted to senior systems director. Friends described him as disciplined, practical, and deeply skeptical of anything supernatural. That detail would later become important. At 8:47 p.m., surveillance footage showed Daniel paying his bill, shaking hands with coworkers, and placing his phone beside a basket of receipts near the booth. Minutes later, he walked out without it. Outside, rain hammered the parking lot while traffic crawled through the wet streets. Daniel drove south toward Lake Oswego, unaware the phone remained inside the restaurant. Or so he believed. Exactly 11 minutes into the drive, Daniel reached into his coat pocket and froze. No phone. Witnesses later said he cursed loudly, made a sharp U-turn, and sped back toward the restaurant. But when he arrived, the lights were already off. The doors were locked, and according to nearby traffic cameras, Daniel remained parked outside the building for nearly 18 minutes, staring at something inside his SUV. At 9:31 p.m., Daniel Mercer finally pulled into the driveway of his home in Lake Oswego. The frustration from the restaurant still burned in his chest. He planned to retrieve the phone the next morning and tried convincing himself it wasn't a big deal. But the moment he stepped through the front door, something felt wrong. His wife, Emily, stood in the kitchen smiling. "Why were you calling your own phone?" she asked casually. Daniel stopped cold. On the marble kitchen counter sat his black cell phone. Dry, clean, connected to its charger. His 2 children, Noah and Lily, were eating ice cream nearby when Emily explained that the phone had started ringing about 20 minutes earlier. Thinking Daniel had forgotten it at home, she plugged it in after multiple missed calls appeared from an unknown number. Daniel slowly picked it up. Battery, 83%. No rainwater. No damage. No missed calls. Nothing. His stomach tightened. He clearly remembered leaving it beside the receipt basket at Blackwater Grill. Emily laughed at his confusion, assuming he was exhausted from work. Then the screen suddenly lit up in Daniel's hand. One new text message. No contact name. No timestamp. Only 6 chilling words. "You should have left me there." Daniel didn't sleep that night. After Emily and the children went upstairs, he remained alone in the kitchen, staring at the phone beneath the dim overhead lights. He checked everything repeatedly: message history, app activity, cloud backups, deleted folders. Nothing explained the text. By 1:13 a.m., Daniel convinced himself someone was pranking him. Maybe a coworker from Blackwater Grill had secretly returned the device to his house. It sounded irrational, but still more believable than the alternative forming in his mind. Then the phone rang. Unknown number. Daniel answered immediately. At first, only static, then breathing. Slow, uneven, almost wet. Hello. Daniel snapped. The breathing stopped. For 3 full seconds, the line remained silent. Then Daniel heard his own voice whisper through the speaker. Not similar, not distorted. Exactly his voice. Don't let it near the children. The call disconnected. Daniel stared at the screen as terror crept through his body. His hands trembled so badly the phone nearly slipped from his grip. Upstairs, one of the children suddenly screamed. Daniel sprinted toward the second floor and burst into Noah's bedroom. The boy sat upright in bed, crying hysterically. When Emily rushed in moments later, Noah pointed shakily toward the hallway. The man with Dad's voice, he whispered. He was standing outside my door. The following morning, Daniel called in sick for the first time in nearly 4 years. Emily assumed he was exhausted, but Daniel spent the day obsessively investigating the phone. He contacted the carrier, checked location history, and even drove back to Blackwater Grill demanding access to their security footage. What he saw unsettled him even more. The footage clearly showed him leaving the phone behind. No employee touched it. No one carried it out. Yet at 9:08 p.m., 23 minutes before Daniel returned home, the phone's GPS mysteriously registered inside his house in Lake Oswego. Impossible. That evening, things became worse. While helping Lily with homework, the phone buzzed again. Another message. This time it contained a single sentence. She never forgave you for Chicago. Daniel nearly dropped the device. Emily immediately noticed his expression change. Because Chicago wasn't random. 9 years earlier, before Noah was born, Daniel had briefly traveled to Chicago for a work conference. During that trip, he had a one-night affair he never confessed to anyone. No emails, no messages, no evidence. No living person should have known. But the phone did. And later that night, Emily quietly asked him a question that made his blood run cold. Who's Melissa? Daniel denied everything at first. He told Emily the message was random, probably generated by hackers targeting his work accounts. But Emily knew him too well. 20 years of marriage had taught her how Daniel looked when he lied. And that night, he looked terrified. After the children went to sleep, Emily forced him to explain. Reluctantly, Daniel admitted the truth about the woman in Chicago, a hotel bartender named Melissa Vance he met during a cybersecurity conference in 2010. It meant nothing, he insisted. Emily said nothing for nearly a minute. Then the phone vibrated again. Both of them froze. A new image appeared on the screen. A photograph. Daniel felt his throat tighten instantly. It showed the exact hotel room from Chicago. The same dim lamp. The same wrinkled bed sheets. And lying asleep beside him, Melissa. Emily covered her mouth in horror. What is this? She whispered. Daniel swore he had never taken photos that night. But the timestamp in the corner read October 18th, 2010, accurate to the minute. Then Emily noticed something else in the image. Someone stood in the bathroom doorway, barely visible in the darkness, watching them sleep. The figure was tall, unnaturally thin, and blurred beyond recognition. But its face looked exactly like Daniel's. By Friday morning, Emily barely spoke to Daniel. The tension inside the Mercer home had become unbearable. Noah refused to sleep alone. Lily claimed she heard whispering through the vents at night, and Daniel had started hiding the phone in different places around the house, but always returned. Kitchen counter, bedroom dresser, passenger seat of his SUV. Once, Daniel even locked it inside a garage toolbox before leaving for work in Portland. 30 minutes later, the phone rang from inside his jacket pocket. That afternoon, Daniel finally decided to call Melissa Vance. After searching old conference records, he found a disconnected number linked to Chicago. He almost gave up until a second number unexpectedly appeared in his contacts list. No name, just M. Hands shaking, Daniel dialed. The call connected instantly. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then a woman whispered, "Daniel, it found you too." His chest tightened. "Melissa." She began crying softly. "You should have destroyed the phone when you left the restaurant," she said. Daniel's blood turned cold. "How do you know about that?" Before she could answer, another voice suddenly interrupted the line. A deep male voice. Calm, mechanical, and unmistakably identical to Daniel's. "You brought me home." The call ended. 2 hours later, Daniel discovered Melissa Vance had officially died 3 years earlier. After learning Melissa Vance was dead, Daniel stopped pretending the situation could be explained logically. He barely ate, barely slept. Dark circles formed beneath his eyes as paranoia consumed him. Emily began noticing strange changes in him, too. Moments where he stared blankly at walls for minutes at a time, almost listening to something no one else could hear. Then came Saturday night. At 11:42 p.m., Noah looked through the upstairs window and screamed. Emily rushed into the hallway, while Daniel ran outside barefoot into the freezing rain. At the edge of the driveway stood a man, tall, motionless, wearing Daniel's exact clothes. Same gray jacket, same haircut, same posture. But the figure's face remained hidden beneath unnatural darkness, despite the porch lights shining directly onto him. Daniel shouted, demanding to know who he was. The man slowly raised one hand and lifted his cell phone to his ear. At that exact moment, the phone inside Daniel's pocket began ringing. Unknown number. The figure in the driveway never moved. Rain poured around him without touching his clothes. Daniel answered the call. Immediately, the voice spoke. "Check Lily's room." Daniel sprinted back inside the house. Emily was already screaming. Every wall in Lily's bedroom had been covered with black marker, repeated hundreds of times in shaky handwriting. He lit inside. Police arrived at the Mercer home just after midnight. Officers documented the writing in Lily's bedroom, searched the property, and questioned Daniel for nearly 2 hours. But no footprints were found in the rain outside. No surveillance cameras captured the figure in the driveway. And strangely, neither Emily nor the children could remember seeing the man's face clearly. Only Daniel could. By Sunday afternoon, investigators quietly began suspecting Daniel himself had written the messages during some kind of breakdown. That possibility terrified him most. Desperate for proof, Daniel searched deeper into the phone's storage system and uncovered a hidden audio folder dated days into the future. The recordings hadn't happened yet. The first file contained Emily crying. The second captured glass shattering and Noah screaming. But the final recording nearly stopped Daniel's heart. It was labeled October 21st, 2019, 2:14 a.m. 3 days ahead. Hands trembling, Daniel pressed play. Static filled the speaker. Then footsteps, heavy breathing, a door creaking open, and Daniel's own voice whispering, "I finally understand what it wants." Another voice answered from nearby, low, ancient, almost inhuman. "Then come downstairs." Suddenly the recording ended with a violent scream. Not Daniel's, Emily's. At the bottom of the screen, new words slowly typed themselves across the display. "You still have time to obey." Daniel became obsessed with stopping whatever the phone wanted. He smashed it with a hammer Sunday evening in the garage of their home in Lake Oswego. Emily watched in silence as shattered glass and broken circuitry scattered across the concrete floor. For the first time in days, the house felt quiet. No ringing, no messages, no whispers. Daniel believed it was finally over. Then, at exactly 2:14 a.m., the basement door slowly creaked open by itself. The same time from the recording, Daniel froze in bed. Downstairs, something metallic clattered softly in the darkness. Emily grabbed his arm, begging him not to go. But Daniel already knew. The phone wanted him downstairs. As he approached the basement steps, a faint glow emerged from below. Blue light, flickering, waiting. Halfway down the staircase, Daniel stopped breathing. The phone sat upright on an old storage box at the bottom of the basement, completely restored. Not a scratch on it. The screen displayed a live video feed. Daniel stepped closer and realized the camera was showing the upstairs hallway in real time. Emily and the children stood frozen outside the bedroom, watching him through the screen. Then another figure slowly appeared behind them. Tall, thin, wearing Daniel's face. And upstairs, Emily suddenly began screaming his name. At 2:17 a.m. on October 21st, 2019, neighbors reported hearing screams from the Mercer residence in Lake Oswego. Police records later confirmed officers arrived within 9 minutes. By then, Daniel Mercer was gone. According to Emily's statement, Daniel ran toward the figure standing behind the children in the upstairs hallway. The house lights immediately failed. Every electronic device inside the home shut off simultaneously. For 17 seconds, the Mercer house went completely dark. Then came the screaming. When power returned, Daniel had vanished. No signs of forced entry. No blood. No footprints. Nothing. The basement phone, however, remained on the floor recording video. Investigators later recovered the final seconds of footage. Emily could be seen holding the children while sobbing hysterically. Behind the camera, footsteps circled slowly through the darkness. Then Daniel's voice spoke one final sentence. "I'm not the one who came home." The recording abruptly ended at 2:26 a.m. Daniel Mercer was officially declared missing 6 months later. But the story didn't die, because 3 years afterward, a retired detective reviewing evidence noticed something horrifying hidden inside the final frame of the basement recording. Standing behind Emily and the children was Daniel, smiling and holding the phone. To this day, the disappearance of Daniel Mercer remains one of the strangest unsolved cases connected to Lake Oswego. No body was ever recovered. No financial activity occurred after the night he vanished. His vehicle remained untouched in the driveway. Investigators from Lake Oswego Police Department concluded the case showed strong signs of psychological instability. Though no official explanation accounted for the recordings, the impossible timestamps, or the restored cell phone discovered in the basement. Then came the final disturbing detail. Evidence logs show the phone disappeared from police storage 11 days after Daniel's case was archived. No officers signed it out. No security cameras captured anyone entering the evidence room. It was simply gone. Years later, internet forums began circulating rumors about secondhand phones purchased across different parts of the United States. In each story, owners claimed the device already contained photographs they never took, messages predicting future events, and voicemails recorded in their own voices. Most people dismiss the Mercer case as fiction, but retired Detective Alan Graves said one sentence during a 2024 interview that still unsettles everyone who hears it. Some objects don't get lost. They choose where they belong next.